Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, how many Yoshi games count as Mario games? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I'm joined, as I always am joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. I can't remember if I talked about this a year ago, although honestly, probably, because I feel like NCS is just where I chronicle my life.
Mm-hmm.
But about
You're about to tell us about something that happened a year ago?
I'm going to remind us about something that
Okay,
happened
all
a year
right,
ago,
all right.
so I can talk about something that happened just yesterday.
Okay,
All right. So a year ago, we needed a printer. My husband and I needed a printer, right?
right.
And so we just bought some crappy, like $60 printer because we're like, what does it matter?
Sure.
I've hated it every moment.
Well, that's why it matters. That's why you
And so-
don't buy the crappy printer.
Yesterday, it was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yes.
And so
Did you buy another printer?
bought another printer.
What
and
is
not,
what is going on?
Not just bought another printer.
Yeah.
Accidentally bought like
The same
a-
printer?
No, that would be funny. No, like an enormous, like huge printer by accident. We didn't really understand what we were getting.
Sure.
And so I mean, it's
You
not like
just went
it's not like
online and like typed in printer.
it was like this is what I know I need it to be.
Yeah.
Is it it's a laser printer. So
Mhm.
I'm just over inkjet. Just over it.
Okay.
Had to have a scanner.
Uh-huh.
Had to be able to print in color.
Right.
So it's like, fine, here's something that fits. I just never want to think about printing again.
Right.
But now I just have a too big printer. It's
Right.
not like something you'd find at like a FedEx store. It's not that big.
Sure, it's not like if you went into the office on The Office
Right.
and tried to use their printer.
Exactly. But now I just
But
have
it is too big.
it's too big. It's too much printer.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody has something they want printed, let me know.
I don't think you want to put that out there. That's like when you have a pickup truck and people are like, "I need you to help me move." Like, I don't think you want to put that out there.
You're right. I retract it.
There you go. Because it's gonna look. 2 months from now,
Uh-huh.
you can try to print something. It's gonna need like ink.
Oh my gosh, no. That should never happen.
It always happens. Don't buy a printer. I guess it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. The printer's
too
been
late.
bought.
Well, if you want to help Mark better afford this printer, you can go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where you can support us if you're interested in so doing. We have a couple of bonuses for people who support us at the 8-bit and the 16-bit levels, including a mini-series that we just wrapped up called NCS Detective Club, where we talked about the great detective shows of television history. And tomorrow, we are about to embark on our NCS Goes Broadway miniseries, and we are starting with The Great Chicago.
Yeah, super excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show. We're going to talk about a lot of music over the course of the next 6 months, and that's fun. I like that. We also, if you would like to have conversations with those musicals and with those about those songs with us and with your fellow NCS fans, you can join the Discord. Email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And we will send you an invitation, and you can hop right in there and have conversations basically all the time about Nintendo Directs, Splatoon, Tears of the Kingdom, whatever people are talking about. It's always going on in there. Mark, are you ready to do this? I'm just going to play the transition music and then we're going to talk about what it is, because we got a 2-day task ahead of us here. So let's dig in. The task ultimately is rank all the Mario series definitively. But we realize that before we even get to a place where we can rank them, we need to determine what they are.
Yeah.
Mario's been in a million
lot of games.
He's been in a lot of games. So we need to lay down some like ground rules here to determine what constitutes a Mario series and what doesn't. And we've not really talked about what rules we want to enforce on this, but two things. One, when we determine what these series are, that's definitive.
Okay.
And when we are done with that, we must remain friends.
Okay, got it. So, really, we are forcing ourselves
Yes.
to remain friends
Yes.
for 2 episodes of the show back to back.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think so. I think this part is actually going to be more contentious than the ranking. Not to undersell a future episode, but I think this one is going to have more friction in it as we determine what is and is not a series.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, I think the task that we're setting ourselves up for.
Yes.
Oh, first of all, I agree to those terms.
Thank you.
And I think the task that we're setting ourselves up for is going through basically every game that Mario has appeared in.
Right.
And determining,
is it part of a series?
Is it part of a
what is
series?
that
And what is that series? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just in the I mean, first of all, I think the reason that we're approaching this and we're doing this now is that Super Mario Brothers Wonder was just revealed as sort of a beginning of a new Mario series, or possibly a new Mario one-off, or maybe we count it as part. Like, there's a new Mario thing in town, right? And we got to like deal with it. Because it is not continuing what very obviously is a series, the new Super Mario Brothers series, but has some things in common with it.
Yep.
And look, we see something new and we're like, I don't know how to classify that. Let's classify everything else. Like it's an offense mechanism, right? So Mark, as you've thought about this in the days leading up to this definitive conversation, have you given any thought to what parameters you want to put on? Like what do you just abstractly think counts as a series?
Well, one thing that I'm going back and forth on, and I feel like we need to hash out, is a game with one, or is like a is a series, I guess,
right,
that only has one game in it, still a series?
So I think no.
I think that is probably true.
I think just definitionally, a series is more than one thing.
I think that's, but couldn't you have like a failed series? Like, isn't a pilot that doesn't go to air basically like a failed series? And is a failed series a type of series?
I mean, I would say no. So, okay. The famous pilot for, is it called Look Well? The Adam West, written by Conan O'Brien.
Oh, I'm not sure.
It's like a comedy about like a detective who looks well. Like that's his superpower, is that he sees very well. And it's a famous pilot, didn't get picked up to series. See, that's because the language we use is didn't get picked up to series.
No, you're right. I guess let's just throw out this as an example.
Okay.
Super Mario Run.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I would say Super Mario Run is not a series.
Okay.
Can you make the argument that Super Mario Run is part of the new Super Mario Brothers series? I think you could try.
I think you could. And maybe that is what we're going to have to do, is we're going to have to
Yes.
We'll have to figure out what the series are,
yes.
and then in order to rank them next week,
yes.
we're going to have to determine what games fall under those series.
Yes.
Because otherwise, so Run, let's say, so Super Mario Brothers Wonder, another example.
Yes.
Just one game in a maybe new series in the future.
Right.
But for now, would have to be classified
as a single game and therefore not part of a series.
Or could be part of a series, but is not its own series.
It is definitely not its own series.
Yeah.
If it is part of a series, then I think we are being too broad with our definition of what an individual series is.
Interesting.
Because if we're just saying 2D Mario, I think we've failed. I don't think 2D Mario is a specific enough series.
No, I think you're right.
But does this put us in a weird place where it's like Super Mario World? Is that part of any series? Is it maybe just part of a series of 2 with that and Yoshi's Island?
But those games are oh yeah, okay, all right.
Right.
The mind reels already.
Yes, exactly. So
I have a feeling it's possible we're going to come up with some, there might be just like games, like heavy hitting games that are just missing.
That get totally lost here. Yeah. Like 64 Sunshine Odyssey. Like I don't know where they go. I don't know where they go.
We'll have to figure it out.
But so I think the guiding principle for me is the names of these things.
Okay.
So if Nintendo is calling them a series,
Uh-huh.
then I think it's a series.
Okay.
There are some exceptions.
So what beyond exceptions, what are examples of that? Like Mario Tennis?
No, like Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, yeah.
But that also is like, is Super Mario Brothers 2 USA? Is that part of that series? I don't know.
And yet we have to figure it
We
out.
have
And
to
we have
figure
to
it
figure
out.
it out in this episode.
That's right. We have like an hour to figure it out.
So where to begin? Where do you want to begin? I mean, because we could start with Super Mario Brothers,
uh-huh.
or we leave that to the end because it's too much for our. Like, we need a warm up before we get there,
Sure.
and we start somewhere possibly less contentious.
I say let's start in an obvious place.
Okay.
With Super Mario Galaxy.
Okay.
Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 are the Super Mario Galaxy series.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think
Agreed.
that's it. I don't think there are other entries, and I don't think they are part of a separate series.
Yes. Agreed.
Even if you could make the argument of like 3D Mario games.
Yeah. I think it's a good. I hear what you're saying. I think it's a good place. I think that's a good place to start. We'll see how things evolve, but I think that's a good, easy place for us to start that we can agree.
Okay, very good. So Super Mario Galaxy, comprising the two Mario Galaxy games, is our first series.
Yeah. How do we want to handle Donkey Kong? The Donkey Kong series, because they are titled Donkey Kong,
Mm-hmm.
but they are as much a Mario. Like, you are playing as Mario.
I in one of them. The thing is, it's a series, right? So so Donkey Kong Country, no, not part of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
The original Donkey Kong, I think you can make an argument for, but like Donkey Kong Jr.,
Yeah,
Mario's
definitely
the
not.
villain.
Mm-hmm.
And then Donkey Kong 3, you got Stanley the Bugman, not a Mario.
No.
So I don't know. I don't think.
What about Donkey Kong 94?
Oh, what about Donkey Kong 94? My thought is these aren't Mario games. Unless Donkey Kong 94, and then the Mario versus Donkey Kong games
Are all
one series that is Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Oh, that's interesting. And maybe
And the minis would be part of that too.
right.
I think otherwise the original Donkey Kong is not included. And kind of Donkey Kong 94, even though you play as Mario in those games. I don't know. Tell me what you think. You've got a look on your face like you don't buy it, you don't believe it.
Well, no, what I am considering and in fear is how upset I think some people are going to be if we throw in Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 94
Right.
with Mario versus Donkey Kong, and yet it feels right to me.
Right. Well, it's let's put down here Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Okay.
I'm typing it in.
Uh-huh.
As no matter what, that is a series, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mario versus Donkey Kong, and then maybe as we recap everything, we have to decide whether or not Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy belong within that series.
And here's something, another option is that we are classifying, we have the liberty
Mm-hmm.
to classify games, so say Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 94, and we come up with the title for it. There is no like Nintendo provided overarching title. And so we're just saying these two games
They constitute a series.
They constitute a series.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think that might be right. Do we want to put that down here now and just call it the Donkey Kong series?
I think so.
All right, let's. I'm putting it down. Just DK the Donkey Kong series.
And I think there's precedent for this because you brought up Super Mario Land previously,
Uh-huh.
and Super Mario Land has two entries and then really quickly morphs into the Wario series. And so
Right. So here's another question for you. Are there any games that are part of two series?
It's possible.
I'm just gonna
yes, put it out there.
Great.
It's possible.
Great, because
I think it's possible.
I also think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And it's going to ruin everything.
Well, it's gonna make next week really hard. But that's fine.
That's fine.
We don't have to worry about that
That's
right
fine.
now.
We don't need to worry about that right now.
So I feel good about about doing this.
Okay, good.
So I think the Donkey Kong series should count, and I think it's those two games that we're talking about.
Okay. Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 94.
But I think you're right. The Mario vs. Donkey Kong is its own discrete series.
And it includes all of the minis games, which is the majority of the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I agree with that.
Okay. I think here's another easy one, is just Mario Brothers.
Okay, just our arcade Mario Brothers?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't think it is a series. I think it is a one-off game.
Oh, see, I disagree. I think there's
because
all
of
the
Mario
different,
Clash.
and there's all the different versions of it. You know,
Sure.
re-releases and ports and modifications to it. To me, that all falls under.
Now that's interesting because I think the fact that Mario Clash on the Virtual Boy exists makes me say yes, that is definitely the case, because everywhere else where the original arcade Mario Brothers reappears, it's as a part of another game, right?
You mean other than ports?
Yeah, other than just ports of
or
of
the
arcade
Versus
game.
version.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we can count Versus versions of games.
Why not?
Well, okay, so Super Mario Brothers Versus is also going to be on the list as part of the Super Mario Brothers
and as part of the
series?
Versus series.
Oh
right.
No, Versus we can't.
You're right.
We cannot take them into account.
You're
not
right.
doing a Versus Wrecking Crew on here, okay?
You're right.
I'm just not.
You're right. But I do think,
Yeah.
in my opinion, Mario Brothers by itself would be a series. And this is just a technicality.
Okay.
Because you're right. Because the fact that Mario Clash from Virtual Boy exists, and you could put that under the Mario Brothers series.
Yeah.
Then
because it simply fits nowhere else.
Yeah. So we're free to say that Mario Brothers is a series then.
Okay. Mark, we're getting in so much trouble here already.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, this is all right. Okay.
Which this is going to be hard, but we need to determine what belongs in the Super Mario Brothers series. I think the original Super Mario Brothers, yes. I think Lost Levels, yes. I think Super Mario Brothers 3 for sure. Do we think Super Mario Brothers USA goes in there? Is that part of the same series? Super Mario Brothers 2.
I want to say yes.
I also want to say yes.
But let's pretend for a second we live in a world where that is not true and the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
What would we do with Super Mario Brothers USA? Just
kick it to the curb, I guess.
Ignore it, excise it.
I think we would have to excise it. Yeah.
Well,
it also begs the question: does Super Mario World belong in this list? I think that answer is no, because it is not a Super Mario Brothers game.
And so, what would be in Super Mario Brothers? So, would World, because it is a single game, be nothing? We would not include it on any list.
Or we do, and the list includes Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island and Super Mario 3D World.
Now, why would 3D World be part of that?
Because the name of the game is World.
No, that feels wrong, dude. because Land and World are a series. 3D Land, 3D World.
Yes. So you're saying the 3D is a series?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But we also said that one game can exist
in multiple series. Yes.
Well, this is upsetting.
It's we're in a taxonomical nightmare here.
Okay, but the thing is, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you are right. So, Super Mario Brothers, includes 1, Lost Levels, 3, and
Possibly USA.
USA. I'm just putting it down. It counts. USA is in there.
Okay, I think that's legit.
Okay, and then the World Series is World.
World 2, Yoshi's Island.
Okay.
And Super Mario 3D World.
Yes. Yeah.
There will also be a 3D series, which is just Super Mario 3D Land and Super Mario 3D World. Mind you, I think Super Mario 3D Land also goes in the Super Mario Land series.
Interesting. I think you're right.
I don't know why it wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't either. Based on the rules that we are making up right now.
Right.
Okay, so 3D World has...
So it's just the 3D series.
Oh, the 3D series.
Which is not to be confused with, like, colloquially 3D Mario.
Right.
Right? So this is Super Mario 3D World, or 3D Land and 3D World.
Uh-huh. Okay. So what do we do then? Oh, wait. Okay, what were you saying right before? Land will also be in 3D Land will be in the Super
Mario Land series.
Yeah.
So the Super Mario Land series has got to be definitely Super Mario Land on the Game Boy. Definitely Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Does it include Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land?
I don't think so.
But we do have Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island on the list.
Uh-huh.
Mario does feature in that. Yeah, you're right.
Mario
like,
does
I
feature in it, but is there a rule where Mario has to be playable?
This is a great question and a criteria we should have come up with in the first place. I think yes, Mario has to be playable.
That is what our Donkey Kong series is telling us.
Right.
That
the series is eligible if Mario is playable. We did not determine a series is ineligible if Mario is not playable.
Well, here's another example and a reason why I think that if Mario's not playable, he isn't eligible, and that is Luigi's Mansion.
Yes,
Luigi's clearly not a Mario
not game. A Mario game. I agree with that.
Okay. So that means that in the Super Mario Land series,
yes,
we have Land, we have Land 2, 6 golden coins.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have Super Mario Land 3
Wario Land.
Uh-huh.
Right. We do have Super Mario 3D Land.
Okay. I love this. I agree with this. I want to marry this. But let's recap what we have.
Sure.
For our own sanity and for our listeners' sanity as well.
So the first entry is Super Mario Galaxy, comprising the 2 Super Mario Galaxy games.
Next, we have the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. Lots of games in there.
It includes all the minis games. Then there is the Donkey Kong series, which is just Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 94. Counterintuitively leaving out other parts of what is obviously the Donkey Kong series, Donkey Kong Jr. and Donkey Kong 3.
And then we have Mario Brothers, which is the original like arcade Mario Brothers game.
Right.
And it's ports and other iterations, plus Mario Clash,
right,
which was on the Virtual Boy.
Right. And I think that is the if there were no Mario Clash, I don't know that we could count this as a series.
Yeah, luckily I disagree with you, but we don't have to hash that out because Mario Clash exists.
Very good. Next up is the Super Mario Brothers series, and that includes Super Mario Brothers 1, Lost Levels, 3, and Super Mario USA. So both versions of Super Mario Brothers 2.
Then we have the Super Mario World series, which we are saying is Super Mario World, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Super Mario 3D World.
And I just want to go back and make sure that we've justified why Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island counts as a world game.
I don't think it does, based on our definition of Mario not being playable.
But he is, though. There are the times when you can get that like special moon thing or the star or whatever it is, and you run around as that baby Mario.
Oh, that's right. Okay, all right, justified.
I think it's justified.
There we go.
But we will not be extending that. We will not be extending that to future Yoshi games where you can take control of a baby Mario. I think it is only in this one because it is both Mario is playable and he's playable sometimes and his name is in the title of the game.
Okay, so really in on a technicality.
Yeah.
But in nonetheless. And then we have the 3D series,
Mm-hmm.
which is 3D Land and 3D World.
Yep. And then the Super Mario Land series, which includes Super Mario Land 2/6 Golden Coins, does not include Wario Land and includes Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS.
Okay.
Okay. We're good. Do you want to like maybe take a little diversion here into maybe less contentious waters and just because I know there are other things we'll have to come back to.
Yeah, there's still a lot of like Super Mario Brothers games
Yes.
that remain untouched.
But like at this point, why don't we just go Mario Kart?
Yes. Oh my gosh. How
Free-
refreshing.
Free and easy. Every game from Super Mario Kart to, and I think this actually includes Mario Kart Tour. Like I think
Yeah.
you can include the mobile one in here, no problem.
I think so. I think there's some others that are like real obvious, real easy that we can knock out. Mario Tennis,
Let's put it down here. I got it.
Mario Golf, like so many of the sports titles, right? Mario Strikers.
Yes. So well, I'm just gonna write down tennis, golf, and strikers. Strikers, we've got 3 entries in that series. Tennis, I think there's a sort of like wider variety of titles because I believe the Mario Tennis on Virtual Boy is just called Tennis, but like they're all Mario characters.
Yeah, and so, and I think, well, we've already ruled this out, but there's some of the early like Nintendo Entertainment System black box titles that
Hmm.
Mario exists in.
Right,
You know, like tennis, where he's a line judge, but you're not actually playing as Mario.
right.
Where we're saying that would not count.
I think that does not count.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
Just like with the exception of Tetris, Mario is in all of the launch Game Boy games. He pilots the ship in Alleyway.
So technically, well, luckily it's only one game.
It's only one game, so we don't have to worry about it. But I think tennis, golf, and strikers are for sure. And then like let's just stay in the realm of sports for a little bit. Do we want to put Sluggers in here as its own
I
thing?
think we should. I mean, because at least there's like Mario baseball games because there's Superstar Baseball on the GameCube and then Super Sluggers on the Wii.
Got it.
So that's 2 baseball games
Right.
that we could classify as like a Mario baseball series.
But I think that's probably it. Even though, wait a minute, this may include the Game Boy Baseball because Mario and Luigi are playable characters in that
they're
game.
pitchers.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the USA mode. So yes, I think it does. So I think maybe we have 3 games in there.
Great. Let's other Mario sports games. I mean, Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Yeah, I think it counts.
But that may be where the Mario sports series end,
Well,
right? Like, does 3-on-3 hoops?
Right.
There's
and then
no other
also,
basketball game,
Right. And there's also like sports superstars,
right?
which has like soccer, probably baseball, I don't know. Just like a couple of other sports, but doesn't really constitute a series in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. That I don't think that counts as a series.
Do we want to knock out some of the other like easy ones that there's no question in my mind that it's a thing?
Sure.
Like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah. That's that definitely counts. There are 2 of those games.
And Super Mario Maker.
Yeah. Another case where there are 2 games. I do just want to quickly check in on Super Mario Maker and test the waters here. Does Mario Paint count as part of the Super Mario Maker series?
I don't think it counts as part of the. Well, explain to me why it would count.
So I think the only reason that it would count is that it uses a lot of the same. I mean, first of all, the spirit behind both games are the same, right? That it's a set of creation tools, and it uses a lot of the same vocabulary for the making of these things. A lot of the same sound effects happen when you like undo something or erase something. It is like an aesthetic connection and a philosophical connection, but maybe a harder sell as like here's that's actually a series. I kind of just wanted to bring up Mario Paint more than anything else.
Well, what if oh man, what if there is a Mario? Because wasn't there a? And now I'm just grabbing at the corners of my mind.
Yeah, let's
but
do
wasn't
it.
there like a Japan only Nintendo 64.
Yeah, with the DD.
Yeah, like
yeah.
should I Google it, see if I can find it? I'm just gonna Google Mario Paint 64.
Yeah, do that. Or there's some sort of like Mario like art studio or something
Yes,
like that.
Mario Artist
Okay.
Paint Studio, which is maybe a series unto itself, the Mario Artist series. So there's Mario Artist Paint Studio.
Okay.
Began as a direct sequel to Mario Paint and bears many similarities to it, but you're right, only Nintendo 64 DD. Then Mario Artist Talent Studio, where users insert pictures from cameras and videos into three-dimensional models, then animate the models. Communication Kit.
Oh boy.
And then Polygon Studio, which allows users to construct and render three-dimensional polygons.
Well, let's address this technicality here. Are you playing as Mario in any of these games?
You are not. I don't think.
But you definitely are in Super Mario Maker.
Yes.
Your cursor is the little like Mario glove in
Yes.
Mario Paint.
But that is all but technically that's also your cursor on like a Mac, right? When you're like when it's pointing
I mean,
at
it's
something,
pretty
it's the little,
expressly the Mario glove in Mario Paint.
It's all
I
that
catch
kind
your
of-
meaning, though.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is we have no proof. We have no proof whose severed hand that is, unless it's in the manual somewhere. I guess what I'm saying is it feels like Mario Paint should be somewhere in our series.
I don't think it should be. I think think that the fact that you don't actually play as Mario renders it disqualifies it.
Okay.
Is my thought. I'm glad that we made the case. I'm glad that we brought up the weird DD games. But also, like, how are we gonna evaluate and rank those? Like, we didn't even know they existed. Really, we knew one of them.
Well, I guess
kind of.
I guess then there's a few here off of like this master list that I'm working off of that we can then disqualify. Like the Mario sewing games that were only available in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Those would be
gone.
disqualified.
Yep.
What about DSiWare? Like the Mario Clock and Mario Calculator. You're not playing as Mario.
Yeah.
But is that a series of
Is it
software?
Well, but also, is it a game? Right? Because before we started rolling, we were just like, how much of a mess are we getting ourselves into here? And I was like, do we need to consider the two different Super Mario Brothers movies as a series? And you said, no, we're just doing video games.
Yes.
Software is not always a video game.
Okay.
So I think by that logic, the clock and the calculator are not games.
Okay. Fair.
As long as we are in the realm of clocks and calculators, Game & Watch?
I mean, it has to count, right? Some of those? And I think Game & Watch would be the series, and then any game that
Okay.
Mario, like Mario's Bomb Factory, right?
Right.
Where he's an arms dealer.
Mario.
Or manufacturer, anyways.
Right. We don't know if he's selling them.
Uh-huh.
There may be a third party that's actually
yeah,
doing the selling.
there may be somebody above Mario who's
Right.
really calling the shots, and he's just forced into labor.
He just
I mean,
calls
it
it
is
his
Bomb
fact.
Factory,
Right.
sure. But that's just a good employee. He feels a sense of ownership.
Right. One, maybe it is employee owned. Like, we don't know.
It's a collective bomb factory.
Yeah, that's right. It's a co-op.
Things can be
It's a
good and
bomb
bad.
Co-op. They can be, yes. People are complicated. And then Mario Cement Factory. Is there a Mario Factory series implied here? And is the Mario Brothers for Game & Watch part of that because they're like working in a bottling factory?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe there is a Mario Factory series.
And I think the Mario Factory series is
Discrete from the Game & Watch series.
yes. Well, so
But Nintendo doesn't consider, as far as I know anyways, consider those like a Mario Game & Watch series. Do you know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
just Game
yeah.
& Watch game. Of course, we're making up our own categories.
Right.
Our own series.
well, and we also have to determine like there are versions of Ball where you play as Mario.
Right. In fact, all
Mario
of,
the Juggler, I
like
guess.
basically
yes.
all of the Game & Watch Collect Gallery games have versions, like modern versions, where they
Right.
replace, like Mr. Game & Watch with Mario characters.
And sometimes Stanley the Bugman with Yoshi for some reason.
My heart is still broken.
We're in trouble here. 'Cause
No. We can work our way out of this.
Okay.
All right. So we have a Mario Factory series. That one I'm writing down for sure.
Okay.
We're not getting out of it.
Okay, and that includes Mario Brothers because they work at a bottling factory,
And
Mario Cement Factory, and Mario Bomb Factory.
okay, and when you say Mario Brothers,
I mean for Game & Watch.
okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
an important distinction.
Should we also then at this point put the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch in the Super Mario Brothers series?
No.
What? Why not?
Wait, is it just Super Mario Brothers?
I mean, there is a Game & Watch called Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
And it's one of the bad ones. It's one of like the really late ones
Uh-huh.
where like they try to simulate that you're scrolling by like having platforms that like
Oh, sure.
start on one side and like
I had
move
like a
over.
Tiger Electronics game like that.
Yeah, exactly. So like I think it's got to go on the Super Mario Brothers list. That's the name of the game is Super Mario Brothers. Like
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay, sure. I mean, I don't think you'll really weight that series one way or the other
yeah, that's true.
that much. And then do we need a Game & Watch category? Like a series that is Game & Watch? Or does the fact... Because basically, essentially every Game & Watch game would fall under that then.
Right. Well, okay, but like we're
The vast
also
majority.
we're considering like actual releases, right? So like the Game & Watch galleries may be considered Mario games, but I don't know that the modern versions of those games within each one count as part of that.
So, like, Juggler or whatever wouldn't count.
Well, except Mario the Juggler was a re-release of Ball. Like there's a physical Game & Watch called Mario the Juggler
Uh-huh.
that does feature Mario.
Okay.
So if we have other games, and there obviously are other Game & Watch games that include Mario,
Okay.
so I think there is a Game & Watch series, and you and I should do a more thorough accounting when we are not holding microphones up to our mouths as to which all Game & Watch games include Mario. But I think there have to be physical Game & Watch releases of them, and not as part of modern versions in these collections.
Okay. Agreed. In addition to that, does the Game & Watch Gallery games need to be
Yes.
its own series?
Great question. Because Mario appears on the cover of all of those games.
Which is not necessarily means that it has to go in there,
True.
because the criteria is he playable?
Right. And I think he is playable in all of them.
Okay.
Although his name is not in the title.
Okay. But here's a question for you.
Yeah.
And maybe the answer to both these is no, but NES Golf. It's just one game,
Right.
but
would be part
would
of
it
the
go
golf
in
series.
the
Yeah.
golf series? It's very clearly not part of Mario Golf.
Right.
And I think like in
Are you saying NES Open? Is that what you said, or just
I think
the game?
it's just called Golf.
There are two different golf games on NES.
Okay.
One of them is just called Golf, and the other one is called NES Open.
And NES Open is the one where Mario is on the cover with his
Right.
Yeah.
Who's with those red and white striped pants that we
Uh-huh.
would later see in Super Mario Odyssey, not part of a series.
Yes, but is he playable in NES Open?
I don't know.
Yeah, and in Golf, like in some of the instruction booklets, he is, and he looks like a more human proportioned Mario.
Right.
But later, I think they kind of like say it's not Mario in it.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
just like looks like Mario. So
Here's the thing: the sample size for the rest of like the Mario Golf games big enough that I'm happy to throw both of those out.
sure,
To say it's too ambiguous, we don't know.
and we know very clearly the Mario Golf exists, and
Yes.
is its own series.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so here's what. Well, we have a Game & Watch series, and then we have a Game & Watch Gallery series.
Right. And we
and-
will have to go through those Game & Watch galleries one by one to make sure that Mario is in fact playable in each one.
Okay,
But
but we will not do that right now.
we will not do that right now. And at this point, I do want to bring up Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
Is this a Mario series?
It's not.
It's a Kirby series, right? We determined definitively with Matt Acevedo several years ago that Kirby is the largest contributor to the Super Smash Brothers series. So I think for the purposes of this exercise, Super Smash Brothers is not a Mario series.
I completely agree.
Even though he's playable in every single game
Yep.
and appears on the cover of probably all of them.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
But yeah, I completely agree. It is not a Mario series. Mario is definitely not the star. Here's one that is Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
Easy
Easy peasy.
Uh-huh.
Man, I love that.
We won't lose any hair over knowing that there's a Dr. Mario series.
Let me ask you this. Does Dr. Luigi go in the Dr. Mario series?
No.
I think probably not.
I think strong no. A good thought, but a strong no. Just like we wouldn't put Super Luigi U in a new Super Mario Brothers series, which we
should
need to
put
create.
in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But we would put new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which includes
Yes.
Luigi U.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think so. I'm going to create this new Super Mario Brothers
Great.
series, and I think it's pretty self-evident. I think the only one that we need to figure out that we had brought up
Right.
earlier
Does
is
Run. Does Run go in there?
And yeah, I think it's fair to put it in there.
I don't want to leave Run off this list.
Okay, so if it's going to go somewhere, unless we create a series for like weird one-offs, but I don't really want to do that.
Us building a Dr. Mario series and saying that Dr. Luigi doesn't go in there has brought up something else for me, though.
Okay.
The mobile game, Dr. Mario World, is that part of the World series?
I think it could be, but I'm going to say no.
I mean, I'm starting to feel like the World series is corrupt. Like, World 2 Yoshi's Island, Super Mario 3D World, already these games are pretty disconnected from each other.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, we have to contend with, does a Dr. Mario World belong in there?
So is your argument that, and I'm open either way,
Yeah.
but is your argument that it's already so messed up that why not shove Dr. Mario World in there? Or is your argument we need to like nuke the World series from orbit and figure out where Super Mario World should go?
Well, because yes, that's my contention is one of those two things is
Okay,
true.
great.
Either it's a mess and we live in the mess,
Uh-huh.
or it's a mess and we fix the mess. And look, people who've listened to this podcast long enough know that we don't mind a mess, right? But
Right.
sometimes, look, this exercise.
Whistle clean so far.
That's right. It's about imposing order on an
Right.
ungainly universe.
You're right. Okay, so here's what I think. I think we have two options. This is my pitch.
Yeah.
We have two options. Like you
Mhm.
said, we live in the mess. We throw Dr. Mario World in there because it does belong under the definition of this series. Or also, by the way, isn't this just a beautiful example of like science?
Oh yeah, science
you-
is messy.
because you
gotta
know
keep on proving it
people
over
are-
and over again. That's
you
right.
know people are arguing about elephants, just like we're arguing about.
I don't know what you mean.
Just let's not question it.
Okay.
Let's just go with
All
it.
right, great.
I think we either include
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Mario World, or we put Super Mario World in with the Super Mario Brothers series
And
and
disband
we
the World
disband
franchise.
the World series. Yeah.
So I think that is right. It means that Yoshi's Island no longer has a place on this list,
Which feels right
which
to me,
feels
actually.
right.
Yeah.
Because it truly is the kickoff of a new series.
Uh-huh.
Just in the same way we've excised Mario Land 3 from this list,
yeah.
because it is genuinely part of the Wario series.
And really, World 2
Wario
is
Land.
only on there as like a marketing ploy.
Totally.
So I think we're making the call. We're going to put World into the Super Mario Brothers series, and we
Yep. And we are nuking the Super Mario World.
That's how
series.
toxic Dr. Mario World is
Yes.
as a game. That we're disbanding an entire series so we don't have to include it.
And I mean, we will include it as part of the Dr. Mario
Yep.
series. So like it is in there. And I don't want to like. Look, the game was bad and it's unplayable, like literally unplayable now. But it did give us Dr. Goomba Tower and
No, you're right. You're
and
right.
Dr. Baby Luigi.
You're right.
Or Waluigi.
Better games have given us less.
Dr. Baby Wario is what it was. Okay, good. So back to where we were, and I'm sorry that we had to back way up just because one of the Doctor games had World in the title, but it added some clarity for us, I think.
It did. I think so. And while we're in the subject of New Super Mario Brothers, let's talk about what we want to do with the loose 3D games right now. So you have Super Mario 64, you have Super Mario Sunshine,
Uh-huh.
you have Super Mario Odyssey
Yes.
that right now are not part of a series, but it feels so wrong to not include them in our like ranking.
But that also may just be the way of it. Like I kind of, unless we want to make up a series that like incorporates all three of them, I sort of feel like
What if it's the Peach series?
go on.
Well, you have right. You're in Peach's castle
Mm-hmm.
in the first one in 64, and then you're on vacation with Peach, and she features really prominently
Mhm.
in Sunshine. And then in Odyssey, again, Peach is like heavily
Yeah,
featured.
there's a lot of vacation.
And then, but
and Peach
Rosalina
stuff.
again is kind of like the star
She's of the Galaxy one.
of the Galaxy series, which is its own series.
I like what you did with Star there. I thought it was good.
So I would argue that we can put the three kind of like loose 3D games into their own
Sure, this,
series,
the
which
sort
is
of
kind
like
of like
the
Peach trilogy.
explory games.
Sure.
Here's because you could also say that Mario 64 is a series because of the Mario 64 DS.
Now, interesting, because I'm not going to fight you on it, but I will say that we basically disqualified the Mario Brothers series from being a series for that same reason. Because it's basically just like, it's not a new game, it's just a port.
But there are 3 more playable characters and like a ton new stars. Like, I don't know, it's kind of a different game.
Again, I won't fight you on it because like Mario Brothers has already
Right.
been added to the list.
Right.
So,
Well, and again, most of my objection to counting Mario Brothers as a series is that it appears as part of other games. Like it appears within Super Mario Brothers 3.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. We're not.
I mean, the other thing you could do is,
Yeah.
again, if we're going to say this like Explorer series or Peach series or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, then 64 DS would just be an entry in that.
Yeah. Okay. I do agree with that. Well, what do you think? Like, is it of the utmost? Because look, a game like Odyssey is one of the best games ever made, and so it would be weird to not have a place for it on this list.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a pretty, say what you will about Sunshine. It's going to be a pretty strong series if you group those three together.
Totally.
But
What also does Bowser's Fury become part of that?
So
Or is that just part of
I think
3D
it's just,
World?
I think you just consider it as part of 3D World.
Okay, I can buy that.
Although really, I could go either way. No, for real, because yes, it is part of the 3D World package, but it is a discrete game.
Yes, it is a discrete game, and in terms of like it is aesthetically more like 3D World, but in terms of like its relationship to the open world,
Yeah.
it is more like Odyssey.
I think we do it. I think we create like an adventure series, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
And we put those 4 entries in it. That makes sense to me.
arguably 5, the 64 DS.
Yeah, 5. Those
Okay.
5 entries.
Okay, so let's call it the we're calling it the Adventure Series.
Okay.
It is where we are in our most adventurous in naming
In
series.
creating series.
It includes 64, 64DS, Sunshine, Odyssey, and
Bowser's
Fury.
That is a strong category. What do you want to do about the Super Mario Advance games?
I think they count. I think Advance counts as a series.
Advance is its own series.
Yes.
Okay.
Which includes then Super Mario Advance, which is Super Mario USA, Super Mario Advance 2, which is Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 3, which is Yoshi's Island. Again, Yoshi's Island has snuck on here somehow. And Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3 are all on that list. Although, does that make us a hypocrite including Yoshi's Island here and not? Although the World Series was nuked.
Exactly. The World Series was nuked, and I think that this is actually a great place to include Yoshi's Island because it actually makes sense
Sure.
in the taxonomy, as much as any of this does. Okay, so let's look at what the Super Mario Brothers series is, and just make sure we have everything covered. So
We
like-
don't. We have a lot still.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are we missing?
We haven't touched any of the RPGs yet.
No. You're right. I meant like the platformers.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like the platformers, and just make sure that we have everything covered. So we have the first game, we have Lost Levels, we have USA, we have 3, we have World,
and all the Game & Watch games.
and all the Game & Watch games.
Or no, not all the Game & Watch games, just the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch game.
Right.
That's the Super Mario Brothers series.
And then we have, let's see, making sure that we're covering Super Mario Land. Yes, we have a series for that. The 3D games were covered. Super Mario Advance, we determined that's its own series. Galaxy is its own series. New Super Mario Brothers, yes, we're covered. That includes Run. 3D Land and World, yes, we're covered in multiple facets.
Yep.
And then Wonder, I guess, is the only thing. But we're saying, 1, it's not a series yet, and 2, it hasn't come out, so we don't have to worry about it.
Right. We can't possibly evaluate a game that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we're good on the Mario platformers.
I think so too.
Just as we were kind of recapping that, I was looking at the list. We have Dr. Mario. We don't have Mario Picross.
Yeah, that was one where it's like, you're not playing as Mario, and it's like the Picross series,
Right.
like featuring Mario.
That's true.
Featuring Mario illustrations.
Well, but they're not. They're frequently not Mario illustrations. They're just like regular
it's
pixel art.
Oh.
And I think you do play as Mario because in the like Mario's face appears like on the thing. I think because the only Mario Picross games that I've played are the Game Boy one and the Super Famicom one that was brought over to the NES or the Super NES Switch Online.
Okay.
And in the Super NES one, you pick between whether you're playing as Mario or as Wario.
Okay. So
So
yeah, Mario Picross.
I think Mario Picross is probably just those two games.
Okay.
And then maybe a bunch of Japanese games that we'll never get a chance to play.
What do we? And I guess this is a one-off, or maybe it goes in the Super Mario Brothers series. What about Super Mario Brothers 35?
Oh wow!
Should that go in like with 1 Lost Levels 3, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, so I just you triggered the thing for me, but it's the game has been gone for years, literally unplayable. So maybe worth reminding people. Super Mario Brothers 35 was something that they put out for the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Brothers series on Switch. It was a sort of Tetris 99 like game where you're playing the original Super Mario Brothers. And then they took it down off the service, and now it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and that was like upfront. It was a limited time thing. It was really it was a little too complex, like the mechanics of it, and a little too opaque for me to really get into it. But watching people who were good at it play it was amazing. It was a really cool idea.
Well, and it was like when you really dug into it, it was a fun game to play. But by the end of it, it was always chaos, like uncontrollable chaos.
In kind of a fun way.
In kind of a fun way, but also in just kind of like if I don't get a star power up here, I'm going to die.
Right.
And if I get a star power up here, I'm going to beat everyone. You know, like, except there are 10 other people also waiting on that star. So,
so what do you think? Part of Super Mario Brothers or...
I mean, that is if Super Mario Brothers 3, why not Super Mario Brothers 35? Right? Same naming convention, just with a higher number.
Well, they're kind of different games, but...
Well, they're definitely different games, but Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 3 are different games, too. I think it counts as a Super Mario Brothers game.
Great.
So, awesome.
What about some other ones to consider? I'm not familiar with them, really, but like Wrecking Crew. Is that a series? There's 2 games. One is Japan only.
Like right, Wrecking Crew 98.
But
and versus Wrecking Crew. But again, we can't do that.
No. But you still have 2. So like does Wrecking Crew count? Is Wrecking Crew
I want to say
Mario game?
I want to say no.
Okay.
Cuz even though they're like identified as Mario,
hi.
Although it is more explicit in 98.
Yeah.
I still want to say no. Do you want to say yes?
I feel like we should.
Says yes. All right, we put it in. Wrecking Crew is a series.
What about the Discovery series? So this is like the edutainment software that was for PCs. Like Mario is Missing, but like Mario's Missing. I guess not.
You play as Luigi, right?
Doesn't fit our definition, but like Mario's early years, like there's fun with letters, fun with numbers, preschool fun. Mario's Time Machine.
Right. Hotel Mario.
Right. Like, is this kind of like edutainment series a series that we need to contend with?
I think again, I wanna go back to the and not that these edutainment things aren't games, but I feel like they're not games.
Well, and maybe
Software is not game, right?
yes.
Not necessarily.
Maybe the kind of rule we put in place is it has to appear on Nintendo platform. But I think some of these
But then Run and
oh, you're right.
Dr. Mario World, don't Mario Kart Tour. Those are all
Yeah, no,
mobile
you're right.
games.
You're right.
Here's the like actual reason that I'm looking for a reason not to include them is I don't have anything to say about the edutainment games.
Yeah, that's true. The
Go-
completionist in me wants to include them,
okay.
but you're right. Like I've never played any of these, so I don't have any way to evaluate them in
Right.
relation to anything else.
Like if we were doing this with Donkey Kong or like ranking all the Donkey Kong games, Donkey Kong Junior Math would not appear on our list,
Right.
right? I mean, maybe it would.
I know that's the okay. Here's what I think we need
There
to do.
aren't that many Donkey Kong games. though, is the
Here's
thing.
what I think we need to do. The same reason we have Wrecking
Also,
Crew.
write this down. Rank the Donkey Kong games.
That's actually a great idea. But here's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to include it for the same reason. It's just for the completionist in me, where
Sure.
it's like I think they're undeniably a series, and if we don't have familiarity with it, we'll worry about that next week, right? We create pocket universes all the time,
Yeah, that's true.
to deal
That's
with
true.
problems that we don't actually want to deal with,
Right.
and so I think we will contend with it and figure out what to do with it, but I think we need to include it. I think that is an important. It feels dishonest not to.
So we're just calling these like the educational or the Mario Discovery series. Got it.
Yeah. Another one for you, and this is another one where it's like they exist, but they're Japanese only. I've never played them. Is the Famicom Grand Prix games? So there's Grand Prix and Grand Prix 2 that again are Famicom, so Japan exclusives, in the NES era, and they're like F1 racing games where technically you are controlling Mario, and in the second one you're controlling either Mario or Luigi.
Jeez. I don't know. I'm because of the strictly Japaneseness of it, and because like it sounds like one of these where like do we really count like Mario and Alleyway, for example?
Right.
Like those feel like cameos more than anything else.
I'm okay with that. I mean, really, you're driving a car and you don't really see Mario or Luigi. It's almost
Right.
more like implied
They tell
from
you
that I can
right.
what I can tell. What about the All Stars series?
because there are two of them.
And technically 3 because there's a version that includes World.
Right. Well, and also Super Mario 3D All Stars. That's not part of the 3D series. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think All Stars has got to go on here.
Okay.
I think Super Mario All Stars, yeah, which would include 2 different Super NES carts and 1 Wii disc. No. Yes.
Yes, it
also
would.
the
It would
Wii
include the Wii disc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that for the 25th anniversary?
Oh, it must have been. It must
Yeah.
have been.
And then also
3D All Stars.
3D All Stars. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, what a weird category that is. Some of the greatest games ever made, though.
And then I feel like looking at this kind of like master list that we have going, the last ones for us to contend with are RPGs.
Well, Party.
Oh yeah, my gosh.
The Party, and I think this is obvious. All the Super Mario Party, and all the Mario parties go on this list.
Yep.
Pretty easy call on that one. But then yes, the RPGs, which I think are 2 different series, and I think it leaves Legend of the Seven Stars out in the cold. I think it's not part of this ranking.
Okay.
I think Paper is one, and Mario and Luigi is another. And
yeah.
I mean, it's I love Super Mario RPG, but unless we want to just say all the RPGs are a single series, and I don't think that's right? Like the Paper Mario games have so much in common with each other. They have like a trajectory that like happens to that series over time. Ditto Mario and Luigi that are not connected to the other. except of course in the case of the one where they did cross
Paper
over.
Jam.
Paper Jam, thank you.
Yeah. No,
which just goes in both games.
I think you're right, because you're right. The only other way to do it would just be to say, I mean, look, there's a million ways you could split it up. You could be like, okay, we're going to put all the turn-based ones into a series, but that's more like categorization and not really like a series. I don't think you would say that Mario RPG is a part of either of those series. And I'm just restating what you were saying.
Yeah.
And in order to classify it, you would have to just say all RPGs are in a series, and that's not true. It's a category.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it is also kind of the thing that is borne out in the Wario Land and Yoshi's Island examples, where those are the starting points for other series, and so therefore not part of the land and world things that like those names are technically on there. And the fact that both Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario can sort of be considered sequels to Super Mario RPG, still like the fact that they are the kickoff for their own series kind of negates them being all part of one series. So sorry, Legend of the Seven Stars, you are left out in the cold. Maybe we could have counted it with the remake, but the remake is not out yet.
Yeah, the remake's not out yet.
This is the intellectual water that I am refusing to wade into at the moment. Mark, how are we doing here?
So I think we have pretty much touched on everything that I can think of. So here's just some other things that I don't believe any of these fit, but I'm just going to say them out loud.
Yes.
To verbalize it, and then we can confirm that they don't fit. There's a Japanese exclusive puzzle game that used the SNES mouse that was developed by Game Freak called Mario and Wario. Does not count.
Right. It's a one-off thing. Maybe you could put it in the like Wario's Wood series, but probably not even that.
Yeah. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, we just said no. Photos with Mario, which was the 3DS software, so maybe that immediately disqualifies it, where you could take like AR pictures of like the Mario characters.
I mean, unless it's part of a series with the Game Boy camera.
But the Game Boy camera I wouldn't count as a Mario game.
I agree with that.
Some of the black box games from the NES launch that we talked about, like Pinball, Mario is playable in the bonus stage. And then there's also like Mario Pinball Land for Game Boy Advance.
So Mario Pinball Land should go in the Land series.
Okay.
I'm glad we went back for this. I mean, is it possible that we should have a pinball series? Because both Pinball and Super Mario Pinball Land exist. And Mario is playable in Pinball as like a little side room when you hit in like that little pocket in the upper right corner.
Okay, so yeah, I think we do need a Mario Pinball series.
Okay, all right. A 2-game series, and one of those games is represented in the Land series as well.
Golf, I think we determined no.
Yeah, golf
and NES Open, we're just like
we don't need that mess.
Yeah,
right.
Tennis, no, he's just the referee. Baseball for the Game Boy, yes, we put in with the baseball series.
Yes.
Luigi's Mansion, no, and then Punch Out, where like Mario is a referee, we're also saying no, not playable.
Not playable.
I think.
Let me ask you.
Okay.
And it maybe is immaterial because there's only one game, and I don't believe he's playable at any point. But the Super Princess Peach game.
Good to bring it up, but I agree with you. Probably not a series in any of these series.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Are there any other? I mean, you have brought with you a pretty exhaustive list of like every game that has Mario in the title, and I think we've touched on all of it. Do we need to review what series we're going to be ranking next week?
I absolutely, definitely think we need to review it.
How many? Well, whatever. That's a problem for next week. Okay, so first up is the Super Mario Galaxy series.
And then we have the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series.
And then just the Donkey Kong series, which is just Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong 94.
And then we have Mario Brothers, which includes Mario Brothers, and Mario Clash.
Mm-hmm. Then we've got the Super Mario Brothers series, which includes 1. Lost Levels, 3. Super Mario USA, Mario World, the Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers, and Super Mario Brothers 35.
Then we have the 3D series, which is 3D Land and 3D World.
Then we've got the Super Mario Land series, which includes Land 2, 6 golden coins, Mario Pinball Land, and Super Mario 3D Land.
Which I think still feels right, even though we got rid of the World series.
Yes, I agree. For whatever reason, the World series is messier. And it's all because of Dr. Mario World.
Yep. Of course. Okay. Now we all get to take it. We all get to take it easy for
Take
the
a
next
break.
few. Mario Kart,
Mario Tennis,
Mario Golf,
Mario Strikers,
Mario Baseball, including the Game Boy Baseball because Mario and Luigi are playable in USA mode.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympics,
Super Mario Maker.
not including Mario Paint.
Yes.
Mario plus Rabbids, Kingdom Battle, and Sparks of Hope.
The Mario Factory series, including where Mario's entrepreneurial spirit shines through, Mario's Cement Factory, Mario's Bomb Factory, and Mario Brothers Game & Watch game.
Do we need to pause on that one? Because, I mean, it is remarkable that there are 3 different games where they're working in a series or in a factory, and that 2 of those games have the word factory in the title. Does this count as a series?
No, I think they would just. I think you're right, and I think that they would just go under Game & Watch.
Under the Game & Watch series,
Yeah.
which is represented here additionally. So maybe we can put in the Game & Watch series, including the Factory series. Like, I think that observation is so good, Mark, that I don't want us to lose credit for it.
But you're right. It shouldn't be its own.
It's not its own series.
Yeah. Okay. I'm making that update now.
Okay, including Factory. So we are eliminating the Factory series. All right. Great. So the Game & Watch series, including the Factory series, and then the Game & Watch Gallery series,
Then we have the Dr. Mario series,
which does not include Dr. Luigi.
Yes, but does include Dr. Mario World.
Yes. Then we've got the new Super Mario Brothers series, which does include Super Mario Run.
And then we have the Adventure series, which includes Mario 64, 64DS, Mario Sunshine, Mario Odyssey, and then Bowser's Fury.
Just again, checking in to make sure we're being intellectually honest with that one.
I think so.
Okay, great. I wasn't like bringing it up as a challenge. I just wanted to make sure that we still felt good about it. Then the Super Mario Advance series, the Game Boy Advance games,
And then Mario Picross, which includes 2 games.
and Wrecking Crew, which includes 2 games.
The Mario Discovery series, which we're including all of the edutainment software.
Super Mario All Stars, which includes 3 different releases of Super Mario All Stars and 1 release of Super Mario 3D All Stars.
And then the Mario Party series, another one where we can all breathe easy.
Yeah, it's super easy. Then Paper Mario,
Then Mario and Luigi.
and of course Mario Pinball.
That is
I think we did it.
I think that's a meaty list. I am just real quick going to see how many we are setting ourselves up for next week. A cool 29 series
Nice.
to rank.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We can do 29 series, especially when we're like Wrecking Crew. I don't know, bottom of the list. All right, Mark, I think we need to get out of this now. We are recording these a little bit in advance, so I don't think we'll be able to take listener feedback. Yeah, we won't be able to take listener feedback
that's right.
if we missed any series that's just gone forever. So there's no like Mario flies a kite game or like Mario fishing.
Well, here's what we could do. If
Yeah.
we messed this up and which we didn't, it's definitive.
Right.
But if we miss like a series, we could always do what we did with Dr. Mario World, where as new doctors were introduced, we could figure out where they go in the ranking.
This is a great point.
If even though we're recording these ahead of time, if there is a series that we need to consider, whether it's like a Mario series we completely forgot about, or there's a configuration of games in here that should be their own series, we can always figure out in future episodes where that goes in the definitive ranking.
Right. So the ranking will be definitive, but it won't be set in stone.
Yes.
Okay. Definitive but malleable. I like that. All right, Mark, let's let's close this out. that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you so much to our 16-bit patron, Connor McCabe. Again, everyone should be in our Discord. Email us for an invitation. We will send you one, and then you can join us and talk about all the games that we missed in this definitive ranking. We didn't miss any. We did a very good job here, I think. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.